Today is June 20th. It's the midweek episode. The Yanks have broke a record, is what's on the screen in front of me. I'm excited to find out what that record is. I hope you guys are as well. Let's talk some Yanks.
Talking Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Recaps galore, weekly awards, stat lines, theme and hot takes. Get your Yankees news from these two fine dudes. It's time for Talkin' Yanks. Talking Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Talking Yanks with old John Boy and Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Yanks, episode 922, brought to you by SeatGeek. Code YANKS will help you out there. My name's Jimmy. His name is Jake, and we got producer BBD in the little screen, the silver screen. Jake, how goes it on this fine Tuesday that's kind of like a Monday?
James, Davis, everyone, these guys better be tough today. No softballs. I'm doing all right. I don't know. It's kind of this weird stage of Yankee fandom where we know in almost the best case we're walking into mediocrity. Like Bader comes back. He was kind of supposed to be back this weekend. Still waiting for a real Judge update, and basically the team's in survival mode, and you're hoping that Willie Calhoun or Bowers or someone finds a short porch and you can win a game 4-3. So I don't know. I haven't even fully processed this homestand yet. It's Seattle and Texas. Texas has been one of the best teams in baseball throughout the season, and they're mauling. And Seattle's looking, Seattle's.
Well, it's a bad matchup because
Seattle's Red Sox West. That
Texas
they're fighting for their season, so the games mean more to them.
Yeah, and what the struggle is, Texas has been hitting the crap out of the ball. There's something on the screen, Beebs. I don't know if that matters in the final. Texas has been hitting the crap out of the ball, and the Yankees pitchers haven't been pitching well. And then Mariners have some really good pitchers, and the Yankees offense is one of the worst in the league. So that's where the matchups get tough.
Right. Well, any pitching matchup right now is tough for the Yankees.
But don't worry about it, though.
Okay.
Because we're just at a standstill until everyone gets healthy.
Just a freeze.
Do you think that having so many injury-prone players is a nice strategy? Because you always have an excuse?
Oh, wow.
Like you always have an out?
We're healthy. No, because again, it's who's the replacements. It's kind of, I went on a weird rant about it last time that it's like, okay, if you have Stanton on your roster, which Stanton's a tough mental exercise. We've done it for a few years now. Like when he's healthy and he does the playoff stuff, You're like, dude, this is an all-time Yankee. This guy's like a cooler Reggie Jackson. Like this is awesome. But he's going to get hurt at some point, and you don't know if it's going to be 20 games or 100 games or where. That I guess for me, having multiple replacement DHs, I guess in a way makes sense in their head because they're like, well, Stanton's going to get hurt, so maybe we'll get a chance to see a Willie Calhoun or Bowers at some point.
Yeah, we get some guys off their feet. That's nice.
But at the same time, if you're trying to get guys off their feet, wouldn't you want to get the Rizzos and DJs and other guys that you put such an emphasis on to stay healthy? Judge, in theory, that maybe you have guys that have a chance to be more talented defensively or speed or whatever's holding them back, young ball players. But, it led into our Florial conversation the other day that it's like, okay, what do we think the most is that we could tap into to Willie Calhoun as a DH only versus righties versus if you ran Florial out there a couple games and, hey, he catches fly balls, which would be nice. And maybe he runs into a couple, maybe he doesn't. But it's kind of if this team is going to lean so heavily on their pitching, which they have to, is the difference between what a Willie Calhoun could provide offensively better than the risk reward of having some of the guys we're putting out in the field. And
but who cares what Willie does now, because once the guys get healthy and come back, we're going to be rolling. That's the excuse. Okay. Like anything we ask Boone right now, he just gets to say, well, we're going to get some guys back soon. They're going to help a lot. And bam, there's no conversation to be had. So it's nice to have that.
But his argument that he's now answered every press conference with is the guys in here can do it, and there's an argument.
Well, that's
that they cannot.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the whole discussion.
Yeah, but I think they like having cavalry's coming. It's like, well, I don't know, because even when they come, they're not really playing well.
Sexy. It's
just 19 was the first year of that, where Edwin, Stanton, Judge all came with the last 2 weeks of the season.
What was 2018 the Magic? What was the year that everyone...
2019 was the Magic year.
That was Talkman. That was Maben. That was Juice Balls.
Yeah,
that
2018
was
they got blown out by the Red Sox in the DS.
Right.
19 CS.
Gary hits that ball a little different. People forget that.
19 was, Herman and Betances, we lost those guys, and they were huge, and we didn't have safety for that. And then Edwin, Stanton, and Judge all came back like 10 days before the deadline. And since then, that's been the Yankees season.
Yeah.
Who's going to return from the IL in September? Get your hopes up. They're going to help us win. And then it's like, oh, no, that didn't really work.
And last year threw probably the most bizarre wrench into it anyways, because they were so good. Worst month ever. Resting guys for September again, so that same thought process came in, but they were so good that you kind of were like, okay, I guess you can bottle that up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Judge is missing, and they lose without Judge.
There you go. They like that.
That's kind of it. I don't think they like that.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting way to phrase it.
Well, I'm being a jerk and joking about their dumb roster construction.
I clear that up for some of the people listening these days, Jim. You know that.
Yes. Well, the smart enough people understood what was happening.
It was a Red Sox get swept recap.
Yeah.
You get new eyes.
Anything they say is, well, guys are coming. Don't worry.
Right.
4 years running now.
Yeah.
Besides the magical year when every replacement was amazing.
Right.
That hasn't happened again.
Juice ball.
You want to do Sharp Stats brought to you by Bird Dogs?
Okay. Yeah, Sharp Stats is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make me look good. You like that? I'm traveling Friday. Nash Vegas. Wedding season, baby.
Ooh.
We're back. We are in it. And I told you guys, Bird Dogs are my official travel clothes. And that's important because that is when I want to be the most comfortable. And that is what Bird Dogs provide. That they fit slimmer through the thigh, and that gives your leg a little truly sculpted look. Good for this summer as we are here. Bird Dogs also uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric. Need
That's
that?
nice.
You need that because there's things sweating down there, and that sweat doesn't smell good to a lot of other people. Some,
and that's who you marry.
Some. Go to birddogs.com/Yanks. And what you're going to get is a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. birddogs.com/Yanks, free Yeti-style tumbler. There's a link in the description. Keep your legs fresh. Keep your drinks fresh with Bird Dog and that Yeti tumbler.
To the Queen.
Hey guys, Queen of Stats. And, well, I don't really know what there is to say, but I do know one thing, and that's that Jake was really pissed off about all of those 2-out runs that we allowed in this series against the Red Sox. So I told him, I'd look it up, and if there was something, and there was some sort of record there, that I would bring it up on Shark Stats, and here we are. You got your wish, Jake. So, over the weekend, the Yankees allowed 21 2-out runs in the series against the Red Sox, and that is tied for the second most by any Yankee team in a 3-game series. It is tied with a series in August 1933 against the Philadelphia A's, when they also allowed 21 over the 3-game series. And then the most is 22 2-out runs that they allowed in a 3-game series against the Red Sox in August 2009. Oh, but we're not done breaking records here. So on Friday night, they allowed 13 2-out runs in that debacle that we know about, and that is tied for the most by any Yankee team in any game that they've allowed. There was a game in that August 2009 series against Boston when they allowed 13. That was on August 22nd, 2009. On August 25th, 2015, against the Astros, they also allowed 13 two-out runs. And on August 14th, 1929, against the Tigers, they allowed 13 two-out runs. So, yep, the Yankees are out there breaking records. Oh, but they're not just done breaking records here.
Kitty.
So right now they have an OPS, an adjusted OPS of 69 in the month of June. So that means that they are 31% worse than the league average in the month of June for their OPS. And well, I know we're more than halfway done with the month, but there are only 2 other single months in Yankees history where they've had an adjusted OPS of 69 or worse, that's relative to the league average, with at least 500 plate appearances for the team in the month. Both of those came in 1914, May and June of 1914. We got history, folks.
That stinks. I wonder if those other games, shit, she didn't give us the dates, right? She just gave us the year. 1933 series versus the Phillies. I'll find it. I'm on it. Did a position player pitch? Probably not.
I think those are just two-way guys at the time.
Badasses.
Yeah.
Did they get smoked by the Phillies? They probably played them so much. But hold on. It was 21 two-out runs. So they had to score more than 21 runs in the 3-game set.
3 games, yep.
Okay. I'll find this some bitch. I'll find it. Probably a doubleheader. It was 1933. Oh, wow. Could be this one. But that was a 4-game set. Not that one. I don't know. You happy that you unlocked this terribleness?
No. Yes. I didn't do them, but wrote burns for these games, and I go through the box scores of the games, and there definitely was a feeling during all 3 of these games that it felt like the inning was kind of over, or the Yankees were, kind of off the rope. And basically that's that 2-out feeling, right? Like, guess what? Line drive right at Volpe, you're out of the inning. Fly ball 420 feet to center field right in the triangle, you're out of the inning. One good pitch. I guess that's where, or one good play even. And I don't know. I don't know if it's a lack of focus. I don't know. There's obviously a luck factor, but there's a luck factor in anything you do to a degree. That it started with the Clark 0-2 pitch. Because it was 0-2, 2 outs. You can finish this game. Your dad was on it. I was on it.
Yeah.
That really turned my head. Because literally the one thing you couldn't do was put a hanging sweeper in the middle of the zone, and that's what he did. And for me, you can get beat with 2 outs. And how often, I feel like early Talkin' Yanks, when we would go kind of more hardcore in every game, you could look at the runners in scoring position or 2 outs.
Yep.
And basically that told the story of the game. If you went 6 for 15 with runners in scoring position, you won. If you went 0 for 5, 2 outs, runners in scoring position, you probably lost. Like, baseball can kind of be broken down that way, that seeing all those innings with 2 outs, and it feels just like Yankees, Red Sox bullshit a little bit. Like, if I'm being honest, the Red Sox are that we're Boston and we don't quit. And that's what this city is built on, right? That every Red Sox team, embodies that. Every AAA pitcher they call up has gross hair. Like, them the rules. The Yankees, kind of like you alluded to at the start of the show, they have this, new arrogance to them that, okay, we're not going to break our rules in Game 2 versus the Mets, and we operate differently, and I don't know, you got to play the numbers, and sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. Well, when there's 2 outs, that's when the execution level has to be a step higher, and it felt like they got beat on that all weekend.
They were sloppy. I mean, they were sloppy. It was not crisp. I think it was pretty careless. I mean, you had a catcher's interference score a run. You had a balk score a run. You had balls
With
being
2
thrown
outs.
away. Yeah. It's just very uncared for baseball. I do have to update you on this.
Okay.
Red Ruffing had a tough start. First 3 batters, home run, single, home run. Then he got out of it.
Sure.
Then he got out of the second. In the third, he only got 1 out. And the first out that he got, Mickey Cochran hit a triple, and they threw him out at home. Left field, shortstop, catcher. Great relay.
Was it?
Yeah, they got him. But that's the 1 out.
He tripped rounding third, Jim.
And then the next batter, Jimmy Fox, comes up versus Red Ruffing.
Ooh.
I mean, no, the names in this game is awesome.
Yeah.
He reached on an E6. Then Ed Coleman comes up, walk. Bob Johnson comes up, walk. So they take out Red Ruffing. Like, you're done, man. Sorry.
You're pulled.
Pinky Higgins is the next batter.
Yeah.
After him, Dib Williams, obviously. Yeah. They bring in Danny McFadden, strikeout, and then a single that scores 3 runs, but they do get the last out of the inning at second base on the right field to catcher to first base to third base. They got him caught up.
Well, rundown.
Yeah. So that was game 1 of this series, which saw the most 2-out runs. Jumbo Brown came in, pitched a 7th, and he didn't do well. And then Rube came in after that.
Was
So
Jumbo Brown big or small?
I believe Jumbo Brown is a big guy. I think his name was George.
Jumbo feels like one of those ones you can't do a reversey with. You know, there can be a big guy named Tiny, and that's ironic, but a little guy named Jumbo.
When was the elephant? Because that's the elephant was called Jumbo, and then Jumbo became a word for big, like Jumbo the elephant died in 1885. So it was a thing by this guy.
Okay.
I thought it was maybe right around it. Walter George Brown was his name. Called him Jumbo, obviously. He was listed 6'4", 295. I mean, that's a giant.
Oh, my God. At that time?
At that time, on the mound,
Holy crap.
coming down at you.
Jumbo Brown.
Yeah. He looks like, if you were to say what this guy looked like, it would be one tough SOB. That's what it would be. Google image Jumbo Brown and look at some of his pictures, and you'd be like, yeah, that guy was a cop in between games.
And 295 is a lie always.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't have enough rocks to balance the scale to get to 300.
It's buried in Farmingdale. We can go see him.
Yeah. So I think the 2 outs comes from lack of focus. Same with what you're saying.
The other thing that, again, Katie keeps adding to these sharp stats, and unfortunately the adding is usually subtracting. She mentioned the adjusted OPS of 69 in the month of June is historically bad for the Yankees, which ties in where I've started and I've been going with this, is that it's not like we're doing that with our all-defensive lineup. We're doing that with almost a fully flawed outfield. And depending on the given day in the infield, some strengths and weaknesses out there. That the 69 OPS plus right now Volpe OPS plus stands at 70. So the whole Yankees offense in the month of June has been Volpe this season, minus the stolen bases and stuff. And reminder, Volpe's hitting 189, 264 with a 614 OPS. So basically the whole lineup has been Volpe this year, or I think, a comparison going back to last year would be like Marwin Gonzalez. Yeah.
All of them.
A whole lineup of Marwins, which was a little bit of a fantasy of mine, just to see how it played out.
My thing is, you're supposed to be winning the division.
Yes. And they were making genuine strides with Judge and Bader, and the team had a different level of focus and at bats up and down the lineup, and it was like, oh, we've got room for Jake Bauers, and Willie kind of got iced out. And then they it's like, oh, Judge is out, so this is gonna be tough, huh? That's their mentality going into the games.
But then they're not acting like it by doing the extra stuff to win.
Aggressive moves, using your bullpen,
Yeah.
and breaking some of your bullpen rules, or bringing that infield in that Boston game, going back the series before that. And that's where I think the Yankees have full on blinders up. Why would we change our approach?
Just keep going. Confidence. It's worked. We've won a lot of World Series lately. Tough. Hey, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I have this Philadelphia Phillies lineup. This is a game I used to play on the morning show.
Yes.
From 1933. Out of the starting 9, how many do you think went by their given name?
Ooh.
Their first given name out of the starting 9.
So does like a Christopher?
I'll count. I would
still
count that
counts.
as going
By your name.
And then there. Yeah, we'll see.
version.
We'll see.
Version.
Shortened version. We're not going to count. We're going to count shortened version. Completely different sound.
Michael's going by Mike's.
Yeah.
Are good.
Okay. Or even like an initial, that wouldn't count.
Yeah.
Like
well,
if you're
there's
Michael
middle
and you
ground.
go
There's
by
like,
MC.
Richard, Dick, James, Jimmy. I don't know if you want to count those or not.
Yeah.
Because they are assigned
we're-
nicknames.
Like James Jimmy, I think I wouldn't say is different, but Richard Dick, I would say. So that's where it gets.
Well, that's the same exact thing.
I'm telling you, I think in my head and some people's head, they would be different.
Really? Why?
Still like the same first letter. I think that's significant.
Oh.
And I think Jimmy.
What about Bob for Robert?
I think Jimmy being a nickname for James is a lot more common than a Richard going by Dick.
Well,
I think
not
every-
1933.
I think every I'm just.
What about Bob?
from
What about Bob
1933.
for Robert?
Again, I think that's a little more common.
Back then, Dick was as common.
I
Tons
think I
of
agree
Dicks.
with you.
Okay.
But
So
times. And this whole segment is brought to you by Harry's. You like names? Harry's a nickname, right? Haven't we done this before?
Well, Harold.
There's Harold's. Wasn't
Yeah.
there another one? We looked into this one time. Harry's.
Well, yeah, Bader, Harrison.
Right. I think there was one more too.
And sometimes they go by Hank.
This Harry is for the best shave of your life at a price you'll love. They're high-quality razors to skin products like exfoliating face wash and hydrating lotions. Get better quality and a better price than other razors when you get Harry's delivered right to your door. They got the 5-blader going. Yeah, that'll get in there. You're going to like that. The starter set, normally $13. You got that? Sure, go get it. Oh, wait. You can get it for $3 at harrys.com/yanks. Again, the $13 starter set, save yourself $10. $3 at harrys.com/yanks. There's a link in the description. Some creams and lotions too. Shave it. Trevor Plouffe's using it, and he's a certified hot boy. So,
Ooh. Okay, leading off for the Phillies was Max Bishop. Now you think that's first name or no?
if it's a Maxwell, and that's his first name, I would say that's his name.
First name was Max, not even. So
Okay.
that's one.
Wow.
One for one. Batting second and playing center field, Doc Kramer.
I mean, you're already out.
Let's look
No,
into it.
his name was Roger Maxwell Kramer,
Yeah.
not Doc. Batting third, Mickey Cochran.
Yeah, I guess if his name was Mickey, I wouldn't even count. I don't know. What
I know some.
What
Mike
His name was
Michael.
Gordon Stanley.
Yeah.
So no.
So no. So now it's 1 for 3. Then you have Jimmy Fox. Now that's James, but he spelled it IE and then he spelled Fox double X. So
I was going to
basically
ask if he's
porn
actually
star
like a
name.
Jimmy.
Freaky.
Because again, I don't know. I don't really know how Jimmy's worked at the time.
I don't know a lot of just Jimmys, but reach out if you are just
James.
Jimmy. He's James.
Okay.
Ed Coleman. Now that's got to be Edward.
You'd assume. Or just Dad.
Fuck, his name was Park. His middle name's Edward, so he's not going by his
Not
given
going
first
by
name.
his first name.
Damn. Bob Johnson.
2 for 5 so far.
Now Bob Johnson's Robert Lee Johnson, so that's 3.
3 for 6.
Pinky Higgins.
I'm going to say.
You don't think his name was Pinky?
I'm going to assume no.
His name was Michael Franklin Higgins.
Right.
And he went by Pinky, which he got as when he was an infant. And he unsuccessfully tried to shake it his whole life. That's tough. Tough break, Pinky.
Pinky.
Next up for the Phillies was the shortstop, Dib Williams.
Would be the first Dib I've met.
Also, a nickname for his middle name. His name was Edwin DeBrill Williams.
Okay, I like that.
So I don't know where we are, but 3 for 8
3
or
for
whatever.
8, I think.
And on the bump was Lefty Grove.
Who I don't think his first name was Lefty.
Robert Moses Grove.
I think they called him Lefty because he was left-handed.
I'll check the bio, but I agree with you. Can never
That's
be too
my
sure.
lean.
Maybe he only wiped lefty.
He threw and batted lefty. So
Yeah, they don't even like assign that because there's just like why he was called lefty because there's just so many lefties.
Lefty Grove career home runs
12.
15.
Hell yeah.
15. Lefty
Hell yeah.
Grove, baby.
Let's ask Boone all about Lefty Grove.
Aaron Boone is brought to you by Vizio. Get yourself one of their award-winning TVs and the sound bar at insane prices. 4K screens under $500. They've got this sick like gaming TV. If you're into that world, Joe's was drooling over it. They're also deep in the baseball world. If you've got your MLB TV subscription, you link it up to your Amazon Prime account right there. Stream live games on the Prime Video app. They got their Watch Free Plus offers MLB Network for free right out of the box. So if you like baseball, which if you're listening to Talkin' Yanks, I'd say it's 99%. I think there's some people that tune in that are just like, I don't know, I'll listen to maybe
This guy,
Yanks.
he's married to my friend.
I'll talk about it. Head over to Vizio.com. Check out how you can elevate your viewing experience all along. Elevate it like a Garrett Cole fastball on a July day. Not in there. Added it. Vizio.com. Whatever your budget, they've got the right TV and soundbar combo for you. Check out the link in the description. Get tubed up.
Get tubed up. All right, Booney, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
We're good. We just told you before we started, as fans, our moods are dictated by the team too much. Baseball kind of really ingrains itself into your life as a fan. And your response was like, you got to embrace the good and the bad. And yeah, if you win every game, then the wins don't feel as good as the losses. But the wins don't feel as good as they do with losses, right? So it's like you need losses, you need wins.
Wow.
Well,
Heavy.
I'm just saying you gotta lean into all of it. It's something, I talk to guys about all the time. And the guys that really love the game, I think really respect and appreciate the grind of it and how difficult it is sometimes. And, to be great at this game, you got to love all the little things. And part of that is the struggle of it all. And, you can't run away from that. You can't, change who you are over the course of the season because that's fleeting and that'll get you in a lot of trouble. You've got to look, we're all human. We all love shaking hands at the end of the night. Times are good. There's nothing better. You sleep easier, food tastes better, all of that. And then you go through some tough times and it's challenging, but you got to lean into it too. You got to know that it's coming for you and you got to fight your way through it. And that's one of the beauties of this game.
I think it's a great spot to open because I've had this conversation with, Trevor Plouffe, who was a big leaguer for a while. And I even was on Harry Reynolds' podcast or Jimmy Rollins' podcast. And I was talking to him, the difference about that mentality when you're in the game and you have to have it because you can't get too big with the wins. You can't get too low with the losses and you got to stay even keeled. And I appreciate that, but I always try to ask them but you got to appreciate the fans. We live and die with each game, right? Like an even keeled fan is kind of just a dud of a person. Okay, so why are you watching if you're not?
If you were watching your Philly sports teams and you're we lost, all right.
Shrug. Okay, I'm not going to respond any different. So I guess today I was going to let you know, hey, we're fans. We're just coming to you as people that watch every game and are more emotional, allow ourselves to get more emotionally invested than you guys at a level. I know the players and you guys all care, but your goal is to be even keeled. That's not our goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I understand.
So I want to see if we can find some middle area because it's one of the overarching themes, I think, as fans right now is we were, especially fans my age, Jake's age, we were raised in that the end of the Steinbrenner era where, you know, the tone was more panicky coming from the owner, right? Or even having Posada and Jeter who would just rip into themselves and the team when they were going bad, and they also won a ton. So you had this like, well, they're winners, and then they're also so open with the struggles and demanding more via the media. And like I said, I appreciate
Have we not been accountable enough for you?
Accountable, I think, yeah. I think Stan's been accountable. Rizzo's quotes have been good. But there is this overarching feeling from us, which maybe is wrong, that, like, you guys truly believe, like, it's all right. Like, 10 and a half games back, 1 game into the 3rd wild card spot, which we've been floating up and down. And it's all right. The guys will get healthy and just believe in the confidence and it'll come. Where it's like I just wanted you to take us behind the scenes of maybe coaches' meetings or meetings with Cash. Like, there has to be some sense of, like, is there anyone out there? Can we make a move? Like, what can we shake up? What can we not shake up? Is there, or is it truly just, hey, let's just keep floating on. We believe in ourselves.
Well, I think first of all, those are front office conversations that would be going on as far as, can we get somebody? So those, those conversations on some level happen throughout the year. They happen at different times with more earnest when you get up to the deadline and things like that. But you also can't, react emotionally and with, fandom in the moment of a long season too, and not to say we don't get upset and we don't get frustrated and we're not, maybe digging into more things under the hood to try and get things fixed and get things going than usual when you go through a tough stretch. But you also gotta, you've got to always strike that with trying to keep the big picture in mind, and throwing a temper tantrum every day because we're mad we lost isn't always the answer. And everyone, guys, deals with it a little bit differently. The major leagues is like, you hear me talk about the grind all the time. You hear that. It is a grind, and guys have to deal with it in different ways. Okay. So some guys deal with it with more emotion on the sleeve, and you'll see it a little bit more. Some guys are really reserved, and it's a skill they try to develop. It's like, to cope. You got to cope in the major leagues. Like, it's a gauntlet. It's hard. It's, you're out there for everyone, and guys show that in different ways. And sometimes we attach ourselves to someone like, oh, I like how he reacted, or I didn't like how he reacted. And that's a little bit flimsy, because guys are, you got to realize how guys are and how guys get through the certain things. Now it's our jobs to make sure we're focused on the right things and keep the thing moving in the right direction, good or bad. But I would caution against getting so reactive over someone's reaction that you may or may not like.
No, and I appreciate that. Like when Chapman or Sonny Gray were, smiling after like blown saves, or smiling when and I always said, hey, like that's just how that's how they're reacting to that. That doesn't mean they're like laughing it off. People react differently. And then even, I like Paul O'Neill when he hits the water cooler, or like Brett Gardner when he hits the bat in the wall, but then Chris Sale breaks a TV and I'm like, that's too far. So as a fan, I create my own lines of what I like and don't like based on who I like and don't like as well. And that's just all up in the air. But one thing, like accountable, you say accountable, right? And like I do think that in the quotes and then with the media, it's been there. I'd love for like, if like you had a bad guy in the clubhouse, like a bench coach, like old man Don Zimmer just gets on, like, this is terrible. Like I don't know what they're doing. I just like that as a fan, even though it's fan service. But I do think those
come up at different points. I mean, okay.
I do think there is a desire for accountable for just kind of the lackadaisical mistakes that have been making. Like we've got guys who don't steal out on base paths a couple times a week, which is just like, why is that? How's that still happening? Or Jake's got a lot of 2-out stats that he's just like.
Last series against Boston, there was a lot of 2-out stuff that I don't know. Obviously, that the weekend happened and stuff like that. But no, we've discussed Glaber. Donaldson getting picked off was tough for me. And hey, I know that can happen to any Major League Baseball player. But
what was the other pickoff?
Donaldson got picked off. Rizzo
got picked off.
Oh, Rizzo.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. You're above average in pickoffs, and everyone that's getting picked off isn't a base stealer. So that's like, what are we doing? Why? Come on now.
They're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, but I'm serious. They are doing something. Like, it's not just that's a shallow take. Like, he's not stealing a base, so you shouldn't get picked off. There's different things that play all the time in a game, and you need to keep that in mind too. So. Don't want the pickoffs. Don't like the pickoffs. Don't get me wrong, but everyone's working out there, and it's not just a base stealing situation all the time.
Yeah, it felt like there was a lot of things in this Boston series, and you get swept in Fenway, and obviously then everything, a tiny little cut. It feels like you're pouring salt in it, and just is worse. Bases loaded, and we have a catcher's interference to score a run with 2 outs. We have a balk that scores a run. It's like, are we going to give them runs in every which way? That's kind of how it felt as a fan, where it's like, well, what do you do about that? How do we tighten it up, or is there anything?
Well, so the catcher's interference, I think might be our first one this year.
Yeah, Higgy's not really getting that done.
It's a little bit more, much more a reality of the game with catchers, getting closer, and I think it's necessary. I think Tanner and our catchers do an amazing job. Literally at really studying and leaning into where we can gain every little bit of advantage on who. We're very, very aware of who's a danger, and
of who's a danger of catcher's interference.
Yeah,
that's
okay, this guy's in danger. We need to give a little here.
I like that.
But we also want to push the envelope too. We don't want to just sit back there, because that's going to cost you over time. From a strike standpoint, without question. So I understand, and especially when you're going through a tough stretch and you give up a run, it's not a great look, but I feel really good about our process in that, and how invested we are, and how knowledgeable Tanner and our catchers are at making sure we're putting ourselves in the best position to gain every possible advantage, while also being keenly aware, not only from an injury standpoint, but from who were in danger from getting clipped. And we got one. We're 70-something games in, and we got one on the books. And it came at a bad time. I get it, and you're frustrated at that in the moment. And we talk about it. Why'd that happen? But it does happen. The balk, we didn't come set. So. Yeah, things you talk about, but things that do come up in the season. And, when they come up in a stretch where you're not scoring a lot of runs and you're playing these close games, it hurts.
Is there when we're taking advantage of everything, and we're flipping over rocks and we're doing everything, obviously, and the team's different with Judge. I'm not going to say they have to be an 8-13 team without Judge, but the guy won the MVP last year, and in a year that there's a guy literally pitching and hitting at an extreme level we've never seen before, and I do think Judge deserved it last year. Do you feel, you said front office-wise, roster-wise, they're always scouting and hunting, and they're going to do changes, and part of your job is to adjust to that when that happens. But I guess in-game managing, don't you feel like there's staying the course, and there's also you're managing a different team a little bit that say, going back to Red Sox series, I think it was the 8th inning. There was 1 out, runner on third, and runners on second and third. So no infield in because you're worried about giving up the lead on a single. But Yanks end up losing that game in extras, and hey,
we're home,
right?
And we're home. I don't even think that one's debatable though.
But I think the debate would come up in saying that this team it's a different team, that I think your best chance is to cut off that run at home.
In the top of the 8th inning with a loaded up bullpen against that, I disagree, not even a little bit.
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's just emotional in the moment.
But is it emotional when
we're not at home with a look now. Pen situation that happened to be a night we're loaded up in the pen. It's the top of the eighth. We got two more times to come to the plate, and
but the offense is also having a historically bad month. Historically bad.
But, okay, if we give up a hit, we're down.
And you lose the game anyway, so that's where the discussion happens. That I do think there's a staying the course.
I want you to, when we get done, I want you to really reflect and dive into that and pause and close your eyes and think about that and go, yeah, I don't really see that one.
It's over a week later, Booney. I've been reflecting.
What about this with you guys have tight reliever rules, right?
When you manage the team, you can bring him in that situation.
I mean, he's a fantasy baseball winner. He's done it.
Electrical supply chain guy 6 years ago, Yankees talker guy now. I'm, chipping away.
Yeah. I think you're wrong on that one. I don't even see there.
I get the baseball discussion on it, but I do think it's a different team that I think.
Well, yeah. Speaking of that, like riding out this storm before Bader comes back, Judge comes back, Rodon, Nestor, all the cavalry, trying to win and win wins, right? As much as we can. Going back to that same Mets game, but this is kind of just a bigger question about this stretch with relievers. You guys have the rules, right? Or the guidelines, the no 3 days in a row, if it's no 3 out of 4, he gets a day. There's all those benchmarks. That felt like a game to me. If you were ever going to kind of break one, you could have. And I don't know, is that just, you're not there yet where we're going to break some of our rules. I thought maybe Clay could have come in, and there was Wandy, I agree. He struggled the night before, and it was 3 out of 4. And
King pitched 9 pitches.
King was 9 pitches, but you haven't used him back to back yet. That was one we're looking back on it then and looking back on it now and just thinking, when does that start? Does that start in the second half if we're still behind and fighting?
Spots throughout the year. The reality is, I think Peralta, Holmes, maybe Cordero, I think led the league in appearances in the month of May.
Yeah,
they're off to a similar start in June. Stop. They're not pitching 4 out of 5 just because you really think this one's needed. And the reality is, Albert Abreu came in and shut them down in the 9th, and then we didn't score in the 10th. So they got a runner at second. So
I get that,
but start chasing that. You're chasing your tail, and you're gonna end up with broken guys in the second half of the season.
I understand, but is there a time when
you got to lean on everyone? And it's hard when you're going through 2 weeks of not scoring a lot and you're in 1-run games every day. The reality is everyone's got to take the load, guys.
I understand that, but is there a time when, we're in June?
There's an occasion, even it's happened already, and maybe we haven't used them, or maybe it hasn't come up in the game, but there's times throughout the year, and I would say even to this point, where this guy's gone to, hey, we could use him to get out of an inning here today. We'll make him available. Or, we do pick those spots, and it's also dependent upon how the guy's doing, physically. Is he in a good spot? Is he grinding a little bit? Is he, laboring a little bit, or dealing with not something that puts him down or gives him an injury, but things that we're mindful of, hey, we got to go easy here with this guy right now through this stretch.
And then bringing Ramirez in, Abreu looked great. I think he was well rested. I think he's a guy that looks better when he has a couple days of rest in him. Same with Marinaccio this season. Seems like he's a different pitcher with 3 days rest or so than back to back or on one day. Is that just lefty righty? I mean, is it as simple as just want to attack the lefty with the lefty?
Yeah, I mean, Ramirez is a little more neutral. Certainly capable of getting lefties out. The previous couple outings, he had a really big outing against Boston where he went through their lefties in a big spot, in a leverage spot late. And it was just, Wandy and King and Holmes were not available, so we had to get to the end. And I didn't want Crook's first outing to be in that situation, which I think he's really equipped to get, especially lefties out. He's a problem for lefties, but also hadn't been up. And
what about Abreu couldn't stay, or was that not is he had a pit?
Abreu, but going through those lefties there, like I definitely preferred going to Ramirez at that point.
Do you guys look at the batter at all? Is it just pitcher based? Like right now, Rizzo is crushing left-handers, and Mets.
We haven't faced any. It was like we finally saw one the other day. I'm like, here's your lefty to get you locked in again.
So that's what the Mets were saying, because Nimmo crushes lefties, and he's got a 400 on base versus lefties. So you take the righty who's dealing out for a lefty. All the Mets fans that are in our lives and at the game are like, well, fuck yeah, we just won the game.
Yeah, we'll look up at the end and see if that holds true. I'm looking at the chunk of obviously at that point it's a 3-batter situation. So
yeah,
what gives us the best, to get through this? In my opinion, at that point, it was Ramirez.
Yeah. And as you said at the start, these are just little moments that it's fun to have these conversations. I'm thankful that you're giving it back to us strong, and we're in debates right now. I think it's a better conversation for the audience to hear. The one thing that, Cashman's not on the show, you are, but the main conversation is the roster's crazy. I mean, are you going into the bunker? I know you can't say anything here that's going to get you in trouble, but Jake keeps saying it. We got 3 DHs and 8 infielders. It's insane. The fly balls that are landing every game for starting pitchers and that are shortening the starting pitcher's outing and then using more relievers and then tiring out relievers who are having a great year. The outfield's ability to track down fly balls has been a huge issue with Bader and Judge out. And I don't know if you can speak on that or not, but what?
Harrison's back tonight.
Yeah, so that's nice. It is a huge difference maker.
Yeah, McKinney's done a really nice job in the outfield.
Yes.
IKF, when he's in there, has done a nice job in the outfield. But yeah, we've had some challenges, no question, with some of the outfield alignments, and that's why I've aggressively made some changes mid-game. Like if we have grabbed a lead, to try and plug that. So look, those are snapshots in the season, where you're up against it a little bit in different situations roster-wise. And, we've had some injuries and stuff, but, hopefully we track them down pretty well tonight.
With Bader back in center, it seems like it could be a pretty nice night to have Giancarlo Stanton in right field? ?
No, G's DH.
Okay.
So with the outfield situation, and McKinney has been good because he's an outfielder, right? So that's what he did in the minor leagues. I know he played. Did he play first as well, or am I thinking of someone?
Played a little bit of first too, yeah.
I know Florial's not on the 40-man, and again, you don't make this move, so I'm not looking for you to I'm just looking for your thoughts here. Wouldn't it be beneficial to have a defensive replacement who is an outfielder? I know IKF actually statistically has done well, and I'm not knocking his ability out there. Oswaldo grades out neutral, all the metrics, and I think at first he was really hot. Now it's kind of eye test is graded out a little more neutral, and Bowers gets great jumps, but he grades out negative defensively metrics. We don't even have on the bench. You don't even have a defensive replacement. If Florial can't hit, well, it's all right because we have a lot of guys not hitting right now. But it'd be great to go throw a dude who can track one down at the end of the game without holding your breath. Is that something you think you'd utilize if you had?
Yeah, sure. And he's certainly been in conversations, and really excited about what he's doing. He's feel like continuing to make some strides as an overall player. So he's in that conversation and in that mix. It's a little tricky though, when you pull a certain trigger and what it means 10 days from now, 8 days from now, those kind of things. And we do have Bader back. And
who's the move for Bader? Is that
Oswaldo?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You did that already. I forgot.
Yeah.
With Stanton back, Calhoun and Bowers, isn't that a little redundant? You got 2 lefty guys and not great outfielders. If I'm Cash, I'm calling up Florial for one of them. Bowers been hitting the ball like crazy.
Yeah, what are you guys missing with Bowers?
I like Bowers.
He's
at the end of a game, I'd rather have someone else tracking down balls.
Yeah, we've been down in games at the end of the games lately.
Yeah,
So
I know. Yeah, I also would vote to change that.
yeah, and and Willie, I do like off the bench is
You see him as that Matt Carpenter type, like that's your lefty, maybe for the catcher's pinch hitter role.
Yeah, I do. I feel like especially against a good righty, he's going to give you a really good chance, and he's done a good job for us. So we'll see how it all continues to shake out, but. Yeah, it's good to get Bader. Trust me, it's good to get Bader back in the center of the diamond.
It's a huge difference maker. Will he be batting middle of the lineup?
I got him 6 today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bader. I wanted to ask about Sevy in the mound visit because I was watching it. I mean, you do you got one more batter is what I think it looked like you said to him. He doesn't get that guy, and you talk again in the dugout. Can you take us through those conversations? When we talked to you like the day before, you said Sevy doesn't like being taken out, and I appreciate him wanting to stay in, and I appreciate you giving him that leash because it probably goes a long way in trust and relationship between the two of you. But how does that go afterwards when he doesn't get that guy?
I mean, it's part of the game. Like we're in the you respect the fact that look, you're in the meat grinder. You're in the arena, and it's hard. And sometimes you get it, and sometimes you don't. And it's like, so the conversation is fine. It's like, I saw a guy that I felt like was making some strides within that game, and even though the Boston game was not the line we ultimately want still, like I feel like there were strides in that game as well. So we're competing. And
with Sevy and Clark, I've kind of been the irrational fan. Obviously that's what I am. But like, Sevy's fastball is getting lit up, and then he comes back the last 2 starts versus the Mets and Red Sox and throws it way more. And I was like, oh, it actually looked better. And then Clark with the cutter, he's stuck with it. I like the gumption of him sticking with it. And he's looked good first 2 times through. And against lefties, he's looked better.
Clark's last time, I thought one thing encouraging about Clark was his start against Boston the other day. Where he's coming off of four really good starts in a row. I don't think the other day was perfect by any means. I don't think he was overly sharp, but he managed it much better. And that's something where, so I think there were some strides there as far as, that was a game that, a couple months ago or a month and a half ago or last year really gets away from him. And he managed around some things and kept us in that game in the middle innings.
I agree. That 1-2 strike pitch at the end there was the only kind of like, ugh. But everything else, I was like, oh, good for you, Clarky, battling.
Yep.
First time talking after a 4-game losing streak and a Red Sox sweep. Are we okay?
Hey, that's the gig.
Are we?
You
the
two.
3 of us?
We're all going to be good?
He's worried about, I'm good. But are you guys?
Yeah, we're going through a tough time right now. We gotta figure out. But I keep obviously the questions around Aaron not being in there. The thing is, we still have a lot of really capable people in our lineup. We gotta get rolling. We got a great pitching staff coming to town in Seattle against us. So there's challenges there. But look at the names in the lineup, and I know we're going through a tough stretch where a few guys we got to get them rolling. But when they do, it's going to look a lot different. So we just got to keep kind of preparing and plugging away at this, and hope that we get this thing figured out sooner rather than later.
We have office PRP scheduled.
Nice.
So just help him out any way we can. Just twisting that blood up, putting it right back in, and seeing if it's any better.
Nice. I like it.
Modern science. All right. I had one more question, but I think I forget what it was. What? Oh, and we got to go. We'll let you go.
No trivia? You guys step up a little. Or you're just mad.
Yeah,
the trivia wouldn't be a happy trivia.
Yeah.
It would be a sad trivia.
We got to do fan service to our audience who wants us to be blah, 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 and mad. I gave an algorithm. You guys can go. When do you think Judge comes back after the All-Star game? Because I know how many. I have an algorithm for you guys.
Nobody's probably asked, but
I don't know. Hopefully before. We'll see.
Yeah, if you guys win 60% of the games after Judge comes back, I can tell you exactly the record you need to be before Judge comes back.
Yeah.
Which,
you know what? You're getting too far ahead of yourselves. We got to get worried about today.
let's win today.
Let's win today.
Let's try and win today.
Sound plan. All right, thanks, Boone. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
So, yeah. There you have it. Aaron Boone, manager of the New York Yankees. Feisty. Good. Needed it to be feisty because they've been bad, man. And, he said that's front office stuff.
Right. And it is. And that's, we write down a lot of questions before this, and, it's tricky because, anything that's front office transactional, Boone's got an instant out. That the one that I had to try to get him to get to Florial was like, if you had to add another position player, would you add Florial or Peraza? Which you lean Florial because you need outfielders and defense, and they both have speed. Peraza's speed is a little better.
Yeah.
We could also use Peraza in a lot of ways, but
I trapped him. Would you utilize that? Because if Cash is listening now, he knows.
Right.
Oh,
now,
he probably would.
Well, we know Cash is listening.
Sup, Bri?
Thanks, Vizio. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the Yankees. It's a 4-game loser, and you got swept by Boston. That I don't know. I don't know. I just
what was
think
Donaldson doing, leading off first base?
Yeah, man. That one felt like it just wasn't worth it, right? Because it
Felt like it wasn't worth it to defend that one. Just say, probably not good to get those guys.
You can't get picked there. Which he did circle back and kind of say like, but
right.
We don't want that.
That's where
he was doing something.
I'm not happy that he did.
Was
that.
planning on doing more, but then he did land on like he can't get picked off. So I don't know. It just like where we started this episode, and I get the importance of even whether it's with our company or anything, whether you're working out or getting into fitness or anything, like having the consistent goal and stay the course, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is the best plan of action to get there. But that's for like big picture stuff, and I do feel like we're obviously in a time period where the Yankees are different. You're missing your best player. You're missing maybe a top 3 player alongside of that. And the offense is having a historically bad month that I think you have to treat some things differently. And I don't know, like the other thing that I wanted to counter and we ran out of time with is the going back to the 21 Yankees. Remember our happiest time with them is when they were the speedster different Yankees.
Yeah.
That you clearly operated differently because you had a different roster to operate with.
Maybe those guys just go. He's like, what? Oh, yeah. Well, they just do what they're doing.
So I don't know. Winning cures everything. You have a nice homestand against Seattle and Texas, and Giancarlo and Rizzo get hot and carry you, and you score 8 runs a game. Guess what? Yeah, we'll be excited and we'll be hyped about the Yankees again, but we haven't seen that. We just have not seen it.
You need Judge back. Bader back, Judge back. Otherwise, there's no hope.
Hard to find it.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these episodes. We appreciate you if you do. Thank you very much. Go Yanks. Tell them, Grams.
Go Yankees.
Was he thinking I'm not going to be a manager for the Yankees?
No. I was thinking that's
Confusing.
not your plans.
Because he came from media, too.
He came from you were a broadcaster.
I was gonna.
You kind of did that, but it would have been awesome.
I was going to.